6 o'clock. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Clarkdale Town Council meeting on Tuesday, November 14th, 2023 in the Clark Memorial Clubhouse. Roll call. Vice Mayor Hunsetter.
Here.
Councilmember O'Neill. Here. Councilmember Babbitt Pierce.
Present.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
And please note that Mayor Freedom Bauer is here. We have a quorum, all are present. As we get started, I'd like to read the vision for the town of Clarkdale. The town of Clarkdale connects our unique history, proximity to the Verde River, and small town charm to a future with a vibrant economy. We cultivate an environment where residents and businesses can thrive, providing services and jobs for our residents and capitalizing upon tourism. We sustainably enhance our infrastructure, support the arts and education, and develop recreational opportunities to create a bright future for our entire community. And before we get started with public comment, I just want to give a personal shout out to the Public Works Department and staff, all of staff, for above and beyond the call of duty for the last couple of weeks as we've been having a challenging water booster station that has gone down. We've put in some repairs. We've gotten water back to 2 neighborhoods, and we're monitoring it 24/7. With staff and with some volunteers from the town, but and some good news tonight. It looks like some of the parts we need have been found. So we see a little light at the end of the tunnel. And I just want to shout out to Lou and his team. Lou Anderson and his team has been absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much from our hearts.
Woo!
You never know how much you get to know a water system until you have a major break. Then you know your water system. So thank you. With that, let's go to public comment. This is the time members of the public may give comment of a general nature. No official action may be taken by the council during this time unless it is to direct staff to look into a matter. Public comments are limited to 5 minutes. If you're online and would like to make a public comment, just send a message in chat and our town clerk, Charity Brooks, will let you in. Would anyone at this time like to make a public comment? And I think we do have one coming to the forefront. Ruthie, just state your name and where you live.
My name is Ruth Woods. I live at 312 Main Street, a Clarkdale resident and a retired educator. And I am just tickled pink how talented our community is. Made in Clarkdale is what, 35 years old now?
36.
How's 36?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, we have new talent in town, and I'm here to introduce this wonderful, talented person to all of you, Leslie Peckridge. Leslie?
And Leslie, just state your name and where you live. You don't have to give address if you're a Clarkdale resident.
Leslie Petrich, and local Clarkdale resident, and married to Phil Petrich, who has been a longstanding member of the community as well. His parents, Matt and Eva, were the original owners of the 1012 Lounge, so have been around for a while. I've just recently kind of joined his life. So with that, I am an educator. I've been an educator for 34 years. I teach at Dr. Daniel Bright. I am a reading specialist. And part of being a reading specialist, I am thrilled with children's literature and what it can do, putting good books in students' hands, in children's hands. And so I've always wanted to write children's books. And we have a very spunky or terror dog named Pepper. Lisa calls her Tuffy. If you ever walk by the town park or in the town park, you might see a little schnauzer looking over the wall, barking at you, and that is Pepper. She has been the inspiration of my children's series book, Princess Pepper. And I do have some local pictures in here. So the pictures were adapted by my son, Brad Lang, and they're real pictures that were made into cartoons. And I do have a picture of Pepper sitting on the chessboard over here. I do have a picture of her on the gazebo. And this is the first book in the series. I do have a second one out as well. It is Princess Pepper, My Favorite Things. And my son is working on the third one, Princess Pepper, a Southwest Cowgirl. And that also will have a lot of pictures from the local area. I have the burros in the park. I have the burros in the near the Verde Valley Canyon Railroad. So I mentioned that. So it's just kind of pride in our area here in Clarkdale. So when people do order the books, they're kind of getting a little view and vision of Clarkdale, which I think is phenomenal and fantastic because I love living here. I love the small town feel. These are available on Amazon, but we are going to gift you some tonight so that you have them as well and you can look through them. They are written in her voice. So it's Pepper speaking. She doesn't think she's an average dog. She thinks she's a princess. And so she goes through talking about why she thinks she's a princess. She has a closet. So it's Pepper's closet and talks about all the outfits that she has. Pepper's park because she thinks it is her park. And in our third book, we actually have a duel in the park. And there's a couple dogs that are local town sharp barkers that she has a duel with. These are very highly decodable books. I did have them Lexiled, so they are available to go into libraries. They are Lexiled between 410 and 600 level, which puts them at the first and second grade level. I've taught second grade for years, and so that was kind of my inspiration to go with that. So I hope you enjoy reading these and get the word out there that we do have a local author. I did gift our bookstore some, and I will be connecting with the library. I do want to do a local book signing as well to meet the author. And one last note, Schnauzer Fest is in Rome, Georgia every year, and they're going to have their 5th annual Schnauzer Fest, and they're going for the Guinness World Record of having the most schnauzers in an area and parading down a street. And I am going to be one of their guest events as an author signing books. And Pepper does get to go along. So I hope you enjoy that. And
Much, Leslie, this is wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank
Appreciate
you.
go ahead and bring these up here.
Why don't you give to? Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, Leslie. We look forward to books 2 and 3.
Have your students read it?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that. Yeah. Maybe you have a couple minutes left, or 1 minute left. Yes, so my librarian at my school has read them to all the students. We are a K-8 school, so even the 8th graders are you going to become famous? I said, well, you never know. It wasn't a matter of becoming famous. It was just a matter of having my joy given to kids, and the kids absolutely love them. I have little Crocs that have Pepper's picture on them, and I wear them. They want me to wear them all the time to school. And actually Pepper has little Crocs too, so she wears those.
Wonderful. Thank
Mommy,
you.
daughter look alike.
Special moment. That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Also this evening, we'll go on to item 4, which is staff introductions. First of all, is there anybody else who wants to do public comment? Yes. Yes.
Mayor, thank you. This is Lou Anderson, Public Works. I just wanted to say that we appreciate the accolades in Public Works, but it really takes a community. And I have to give a shout out to the police chief, the town manager. We've had council members to assist yourself. You've been up there. So I just wanted to preface that. Joni's sent out a shout out to all of her volunteers, and we've got volunteers. We would be in really big trouble if we didn't have that kind of support. So our team is doing very well, but we have to also acknowledge the efforts that everyone's doing.
Right, it takes a village. Thank you so much, Lou. Anybody else wish to make public comment? Hearing none, let's move on to item 4, staff introductions. It's my pleasure to introduce DK Green. DK, stand up. DK is our new grants manager. Welcome. This is something we put together with, since the town has received a number of grants, making sure that we administer them correctly to all the agencies who have given us money to do our big projects in town. We needed somebody who had the talent to do that, and DK came to us, and thank you. We look forward to you being here for a while, because we're going to keep on getting those grants, mister. So welcome aboard. You're welcome. With that, let's move on to item 5, which is reports this evening. The first item A, current events. Summary of current events of the mayor, vice mayor, and council members were submitted as part of the packet. If you read through the packet, you'll see all of our reports of activities over the last month. Item B, organizational reports, Cottonwood Area Transit,
No meeting.
Verde Valley Transportation Planning Organization.
We met and I will circulate minutes as soon as they are available.
I hear there's quite a bit of stuff going on with VVTPL.
It's exciting.
It's very exciting. Maybe at some time after we get notes, we could do a presentation on what their, what some of the big projects are ahead for with VVTPL. NACOG, Northern Arizona Council of Government.
We did have a meeting, and the minutes from that meeting or the packet is included in our packet. And just special note that Town Manager Guthrie put in her weekly report the notice about Head Start. They've got a lot of openings, and without teachers and staff, these classes cannot open to the public. So if you know people inside or outside of Yavapai County, all of Northern Arizona, there's openings. So help us get the word out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was really surprised the number of openings in the Head Start program. So, yeah.
And it's not just teachers, although teachers are a big
No,
part of it, but there's
But
a
all
lot
sorts
other
of
staff too.
positions in Head Start.
Very
It's a
good
very
benefits,
important program.
and a good benefits package as well.
Yeah, and a good benefits package. So, okay, thank you. NAMWA, Northern Arizona Municipal Water Users Association.
We did have a meeting on October 20th. We had a very good presentation on the Governor's Council on Rural Water. And the link to that is in my report. Then we had a tour of Prescott's new water pumping stations. 2 5 million gallon tanks, 2 6 million gallon tanks. So whoopee. So interesting meeting.
Good, good. Transportation Policy Advisory Council, TPAC.
Yes, so we met on the same day as VVTPO. It was a big day of transportation. And NACOG got in a grant for us for Yavapai County for the Safe Streets Fund. And so they are going to be doing an entire assessment of all of Yavapai County and where the dangerous intersections are, so that we can start to look for grant funding to get some of those things taken care of. It is a big deal that they got this grant, and we are super, super excited about it.
And there's also reference in the NACOG package to that as well.
I saw that, yeah. So that's great. Great. Hopefully we're going to be participating with any of our
Oh, absolutely.
intersections that are not good. Yeah. Verde Front Leadership Council. The Leadership Council met on October 19th. I wasn't at the meeting, but Town Manager Guthrie was. In reading over the notes from that meeting, there was a review of the strategic planning workshops, and we will be finalizing our strategic plan in our December meeting. We identified, there was identification of tasks to complete, like a new mission and vision, which is part of the strategic plan, and some other projects that go along with where Verde Front is going. So as I said, the next meeting is December 7th. Day's going to be very long. Where we will be approving the strategic plan. Greater Arizona Mayor's Gamma, it's called Greater Arizona Managers and Mayors Association, met on October 27th for issues they're going to focus, the group is going to focus on. One is rural groundwater resource management, short-term rentals. We would like to see repeal of the existing law or at least a modification for more local control. I know we passed an ordinance this last year on monitoring them. But there's a push to go further so that we have local control on maybe things like the percentage of housing stock that can be in short-term rentals and maybe even where they are located. So I think those are the two key issues around short-term rentals. And we'll be working with the League of Cities and Towns on this also. Workforce and affordable housing, and I'll get back to that in a moment, and user fees for electronic vehicles, EVs, to generate highway and roads funds for each county. So these are issues that have come up from the rural communities. That's what the Greater Arizona Mayors and Managers is about. And we'll be looking at how we can support or be involved with the League of Cities and Towns to push measures forward or support or oppose measures in these areas. And back to workforce affordable housing yesterday, the members of Gamma had a virtual meeting with the governor's staff on rural issues around affordable housing. We know that there's a lot of discussion statewide on housing. The problem with most of the legislation we've seen is that it doesn't really address some of the issues in the rural areas. It usually goes after zoning issues or things like parking and stuff like that. A lot of that is not pertaining to the rural areas. So we were asked, each one of the mayors that we're on, were asked to highlight with how we're dealing with our housing issues, what are some of the barriers, some of the obstacles. And the governor's staff who are working on housing talked about some of the available things, some of the things they've done over the last year, like more money into the Housing Trust Fund, monies for homeless and homeless issues and things like that. We've got a lot more talking to do. It was the suggestion of the Mayor of Cottonwood, Tim, that maybe we should all get in a room and figure this one out. Because it's tough. It's a tough area to go forward, and everybody deals, but our issues in the rural area are somewhat similar. That's what's amazing. I think the clear message to the governor's staff is state legislation cannot be a one-size-fits-all legislation, because our issues in rural areas oftentimes are very different than the issues in metropolitan areas. And if that was, and that came across in everybody's discussion. So there will be more discussion. It was a last minute kind of call with the governor's staff, so we took the chance and took the opportunity to speak. And I think you were there. Is there anything else I missed on that you would bring up?
I think one of the points that you brought up is the challenge with getting contractors to do work. You know, we have a development that's on hold right now because of availability of contractors and workforce. So that was like a whole nother issue way outside of the zoning scope that I think is really affecting housing projects as well.
Right. And it's not just the availability of it, is bringing them in at a cost that allows the development to be within an attainable range when it gets completed. That's what the point I was making is finding those kind of contractors. Yes. So More discussion will happen. It's going to happen. We know that there will be legislation at the state level around housing. Again, we're not sure exactly what it is. But we think it'll be some of the similar by right zoning and that kind of legislation. Again, it's not something that many of us in the rural areas are very flexible with our zoning anyhow. So we can accommodate in some way, shape or form, projects that come forward. So that's just brief on Gamma. Sustaining Flows Committee.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
I just starting a thought. We are meeting again in January. We've not met since the last meeting.
Right. Okay. Yavapai Communities for Young Children.
Yes, we had a great meeting and I have some exciting things to report. So we finalized our problem and solution statements. So the problem, of course, that's when my computer goes to sleep. The problem is that families with young children in Yavapai County experience a fragmented health system, which makes it difficult to identify and access existing health services and resources, exacerbating health inequities. The solution is that Yavapai Communities for Young Children intends to support systemic efforts that reduce health disparities by improving collaboration and coordination among providers, community-based organizations, public health groups, and government agencies, and increase families' access to and awareness of community health resources to address the health and wellness needs of young children and their families in Yavapai County. And we have 4 goals for the next 2 years. To increase enrollment and use of community cares among community-based organizations serving young children and increase referrals within that system. Goal 2 is to increase the number of pediatricians in Yavapai County and increase access to pediatricians in HSPAs, health professional shortage areas. Goal 3 is to increase the number of families with young children in Yavapai County enrolled in health insurance. And then finally, to increase the proportion of children who receive a developmental screening by 18 months. So more to come on that, but it's really exciting.
That is exciting, absolutely. Lots of good reports this time. Let's move on to item C, the finance report. Our finance report was in the packet. Are there any comments or questions from the council on that? Everything looks healthy. Funding wise, we're making nice amount of interest money, having.
We've already hit our 100% of our interest that was budgeted.
Yeah, 100% of our interest already, and thanks to having a $6.3 million grant sitting in our bank account, which is very helpful to make a few dollars there. So that's fabulous. Okay, if there's no questions about finance report, let's move on to item 6, consent agenda. There are 3 items on consent tonight. One is minutes of the October 24th meeting. Second one is request to modify the state of Arizona Mutual Aid Compact. And the third item is resolution 1705, which is an IGA with the Arizona Department of Revenue for transportation privilege tax transmission. Now, those were like a lot of reading. Yes, so,
May I clarify item C?
yeah,
Resolution 1705 IGA with the Arizona Department of Revenue for transaction privilege tax transmission.
Yeah.
Thank you.
if I said it wrong, I apologize.
You said transmission, and I just want to make sure everyone knows
Yeah,
it's
it's
transaction.
transaction.
And B was to ratify, not
To
modify,
ratify.
not modify.
Ratified.
Other than that, it was perfect.
Carry on.
I was cutting and pasting into my thing here.
Harsh audience.
See, that's what I did. Okay, with that, is there anybody who wishes to pull any one of the items for discussion? Hearing none, then I'll take a motion to approve consent agenda.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
It's been moved by Councilmember Babbitt Pierce and seconded by Vice Mayor Hunstetter to approve consent agenda items A through C as presented. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Let's move on to new business. We have several items under new business tonight. The first one, 7A, purchase of new equipment by Public Works Department. And I think Public Works Director Lou Anderson will speak to this topic. Lou.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is purchase of new equipment. We have 4 items today we're asking you to approve. The first is a trailer, Towmaster trailer, which will allow us to move a mini excavator, which is the last item on this spreadsheet. So those are new additions to the town. We've had difficulty in tight spaces. It's a small excavator. We can get into tight spaces and do excavation. We recently had to hire a contractor to clear some of the property that you all have purchased recently at Centerville, because we don't have any equipment such as this. So this will help us to save from calling a contractor and the delays of getting the work done. The second item, the John Deere 1575, we're replacing a 25-year-old mower. It's met its useful life. We're expending a lot of money to keep it running. So we ask that you approve that. And then we have a 30-year-old backhoe that we're replacing with this John Deere 320P. So with that, we are asking you to approve this, and it's within budget. It's just about 260, well, it is 268,982.85. It'll leave us $20,000 in the budget. We're asking council approves authorizing the town manager to sign all documents necessary to carry out this purchase.
Is there any questions for Lou on this item? Yes, please.
I heard it, but I want to make sure it's clear to everybody that these are budgeted items, that the total simply exceeds the authority, the signatory authority.
That is correct.
Okay.
And we could have actually not brought all of these to you because some of these items are under the threshold, but for full transparency and to let the public know what we're doing, we wanted to bring them all as a package.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Lou? Thank you, Lou, for bringing this forward. Yay, new equipment in town. That'll be fun. If there's,
Does the old equipment have any value to it?
We will, until we get the new equipment, we'll assess it, but there will potentially be an auction, or we could use some of the equipment at the cemetery potentially, but I think the 2 that we're replacing will be auctioned off, and there will be some value, yes, ma'am.
okay,
But they're old.
Madam Mayor, will you entertain a motion?
yes, I will.
I move that we approve the purchase of a backhoe mower, mini excavator and trailer from RDO Equipment Company for the total amount of $268,982.85 and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the purchase.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Babbitt Pierce and seconded by Councilmember Jones to approve the purchase of a backhoe mower, mini excavator, and trailer from RDO Equipment for the total amount of $268,982.85 and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary to complete the purchase. Any question on the motion? Big checks we get to write. With that, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you for bringing this forward this way. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's move on to, the next item is 7B, sidewalk repairs and funding. Again, Public Works Director Lou Anderson is speaking on this.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is for our sidewalks within town. We had $14,000 budgeted for sidewalks. And we've expended that thus far this year. We hired a contractor to revise the sidewalks at the Historical Museum. We had some sidewalks that were missing along 10th Street, which we added. And we also had Precision Concrete come in and grind down some of the concrete trip hazards in the main downtown area and around the park. Some of the areas weren't within tolerance, so if they were to grind them, they're getting so thin that we have to actually replace portions of the sidewalk. We estimate there's about 100 linear feet of sidewalk still that needs to be removed and replaced in the main downtown area. And then we have some pending requests, work order requests dating back to 2019. 1311 Main Street, 1017 First, 22 North, and 1311 First North. So right now we're estimating it's about $50 a linear foot for 4-foot wide concrete sidewalk. And with that, we're going to need, or depending on what council wants to do, we would like to ask that we use contingency in the Public Works Fund. We do have some contingency allocated at $46,000. We could use, we estimate to accomplish these tasks, it would be about $22,000. So staff is just asking for a recommendation from council. Do we postpone this, or would you like us to move forward with these sidewalk projects?
Questions, discussion on the request?
I think it would be great to clear up work orders that go back to 2019.
I agree. I agree.
This seems like a safety issue
Yeah.
and
I would agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I've tripped on my share.
Yeah. I think, yeah, we want them to be safe. We know that some of them are getting pretty worn down after years of being, taken down to try to even it out. So, yeah, I think we're recommending that we approve the transfer to get this done.
I am just a little confused. I see that the motion is for 15,000 to be transferred. Is that enough, or?
No, we revised that. I think our staff report, after we did the math, our staff
Okay.
report was in error. I think we estimated 15. Prices are continuing to go up. A lot of the work staff will do, but the actual laying of the concrete will be a contractor at the $50 a linear foot. So after we looked at all the existing work orders and then remeasured where the trees in the downtown area are actually heaving up our sidewalks,
Right.
lifting. So we're gonna have to actually remove those and try to mitigate that with new sidewalks. So after recalculating, it's $22,000.
Okay, so is that what the motion should be for?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's what they're asking, is 22,000
Right.
to transfer over to transfer.
Well, Madam Mayor, if you'll accept the motion, I will make it.
Yes, I will.
Okay, so I move that we approve the transfer of $22,000 from the restricted streets contingency line item to the sidewalks line item to complete the outstanding sidewalk work orders and other sidewalk repairs identified through the end of the fiscal year.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second,
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsetter and seconded by Council Member O'Neill to approve the transfer of 22,000 from the unrestricted streets contingency line item to the sidewalks line item to complete the outstanding sidewalk work orders and other sidewalk repairs identified through the end of the fiscal year. Just one question, what does that then, what do you have remaining in unrestricted streets?
I have to
contingency,
throw
do
a
you know?
lifeline to our,
Right, 23,000.
yeah, it looks like there was 46 budgeted.
46, so we have about 23 left. Okay. I know. Let's hope we don't have to use too much more for streets at the end of the fiscal year, so. Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you, Lou. Let's move on to item 7C. Third North Sewer Alignment, or is it realignment?
The realignment.
It's a realignment. Again, Public Works Director Lou. Lou, you've just got the whole show tonight almost.
We're trying to get some things done, ma'am. Yes, this is for the third sewer realignment engineering to redesign the 6-inch clay pipe that runs behind the homes on Third North. We have swimming pools, outbuildings, and other various things that are over top of our sewer there. We have had two issues recently. One where the line, clay pipe line broke, and we discharged sewer into a basement on this particular line, and it cost us several $1,000s to mitigate. In October, we also had another issue with this particular line. So the goal is to award an engineering contract for $104,000, redesign this sewer line, bring it out to the street in front of the homes where it should be in our right of way. And we're asking that you authorize the town manager to sign this contract. With the budget, we're going to have to transfer $55,000 from our CIP for South Sewer, and that will get us to the $105,000.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for Lou on this one?
I just want to say thank you for being ahead of, or not ahead of this, but recognizing this is a consistent problem. These are 23 properties that are impacted. We need to get these people taken care of. Sewage in your basement is not acceptable and not fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, and I just wanted to clarify, this is Third South, and it runs from where to where? Is it the whole length of?
The
Third
whole
South?
length,
Third
yes,
North,
and there's
Third
several,
North, sorry.
yes, there's several 45s at the very east end, and it runs the length of Third South, yes. Or
Third
And
North
this-
floor, not Third South.
I know, I
Yeah.
just, I live on Third South, sorry, it's Third North. Just came out, sorry. And this is for the engineering of this project, and then we'll have to come back once it's engineered to know what it's gonna cost to actually do the work.
Yes, Lisa.
Are the homeowners going to be responsible for connecting to the new sewer line, or is the town?
No, they're already connected, so we would connect them as part of this project. Once we get through engineering, have a design plan, go out to bid, and then we would connect the homes to the front rather than the back, and
Thank you.
abandon the rear.
Yeah,
line.
And just for people who might be watching that don't know, kind of what leads to this is that it being a company town. You know, normally things are built in the right of way, and it's really unusual for things to be built on private property. But at that time, you know, it was a company town, so they built them wherever it was most convenient for them. So now we're just trying to, as we replace this infrastructure, put it where it needs to be.
And there was probably nothing back there in a company town. These are things that people have added to their properties over the years that that weren't there. So, you know, because most of them are in alleys up and down like Main Street, and several of our lines are in the alleys, what we called alleys, but over the years they've been built on, and now this one has been a problem for a while. And a lot has been built on top of it,
And they're
Right.
very old too.
and and this
100
is
years?
old, yeah,
Over 100 years.
Yeah, over 100 years old.
yeah.
Old infrastructure is so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I think, you know, we don't always see that in most modern communities where they have newer systems, they're in the street. So this one is going to be in the street where it's supposed to be. Estimated timeline on this design?
I think it would be generally 4 months, 4 to 6 months, I would think,
Okay.
with our Dura contractor.
And any estimate on cost? We just don't know.
We're estimating to around $500,000.
Okay, okay,
Million,
okay.
a rough estimate, so
We'll
hold
see.
me to that $500,000, please.
We will not.
Yes, Lisa.
What happens to the 507 First South Sewer that you're transferring funds from?
So we had a huge savings when we budgeted first off, we budgeted very high. It was to be inclusive of additional sewer issues that we thought may come across, but that we didn't have contingency for. So we have plenty of room because first south sewer repairs are coming in way low.
Great.
That's the one where we were gonna go under the park, but now we're going around it, and that kind of alternative approach is saving the town about $300,000 from what we budgeted and from what our first estimate was from contractors. So that's the money that we're going to be using to close the gap on this one.
And some of these sections are what we saw on that one
Mhm.
map that
Yes,
was
ma'am.
red,
Yeah.
red and
Yeah,
black.
these are the sections on the map we saw of the sewer system that are
Level of blockage.
the level of blockage is in the black range, which means they're like solid, really bad. Not in good shape. That's a good way to put it, yeah, or could fail at any time.
It's always a good time when we're talking about sewers to mention fats, oils, and greases. So that's the main thing that clogs up and causes breaks in our sewer line, because all those things like fats, oils, and greases get caught on branches and those wipes that they think you can flush that you really shouldn't flush. All of that kind of coagulates and blocks the sewer. So, I mean, we are always saying, please be careful about what you flush.
Another PSA, thank you.
Tree roots, and that just complicates it when you have other things that shouldn't be in there and you've got tree root intrusion.
Yeah, through clay pipe, tree roots, that doesn't really work well. That's what happened out at the park.
So without further ado, will you take a motion? And
Absolutely.
is this the right amount? 104,225. Okay.
Yes, it is.
I move that we approve the proposal from Ardura Group Incorporated for the design of the Third North Sewer Realignment not to exceed 104,225 and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsitter and seconded by Councilmember Jones to approve the proposal from Adora Group Incorporated for the design of the Third North Sewer Realignment not to exceed $104,225 and authorize the town manager to execute all documents necessary. Okay, no further questions? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, hearing none, motion carried. Thank you so much, Lou.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to item 7D. Notice of intent to set water and wastewater rates. Public Works Administrative Manager Virginia Smith is here to speak on this. Virginia.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, town manager. As you know, we have not changed rates in 4 to 5 years. The town did do a study with Dan Jackson of economist.com, who went through everything, all of the background information, CIPs, to give us a recommendation as to what we should look at for rates for water and wastewater. In addition, we have a couple of other rates that we would like to adjust just to keep them in line with what our town code said. And so we have done the presentation with council at a work session previously, and we have come up with a notice of intent to set rates. This sets the pattern moving forward. We will set, if council approves the notice to intent to set rates, sorry. We'll have a period of time where that report, as well as the other information, is available to the public to review. We'll have a public hearing, and then council will be given the opportunity to make a decision as to what the rates shall be.
And this notice of intent, if we vote on it tonight, it gives us 60 days to do basically public outreach and the like, and with a schedule of having it before the town council on January 23rd, 2024 for a decision on rates.
Yes, ma'am. It'll be published in the newspaper and then on the website to give the public the opportunity. And then we intend to have a public hearing on the January 23rd, followed by the opportunity for council to make a decision.
Yes, comment. So our basically what we need to do is decide, are we, we're doing notice of intent, we'll vote on that. And then maybe a discussion on some of the ways that we want to get it out to the public. We've seen the presentation, we've had a workshop. I think, is it up on the website yet?
It's in this
It's in the packet.
It's in our package here, and the like, so we can add some more into there to do some public outreach, and we can have a discussion about that. So it's basically open to us right now. So questions for Virginia or town manager, or just comments in general?
Since this hasn't happened in 5 years, I feel like it's really important to just make sure, or more, however long it's been a long time, to make sure that we are really communicating with folks. So in addition to the newspaper, the website, I'd love to see it in small talk, on the social media, in the weekly newsletter, so that no one is caught off guard, because changes like this can be difficult for people, but we know how important it is. Our infrastructure is aging. We have to be able to pay to update it. So we need to raise rates, but people need to be aware that this change is coming for them.
Other comments?
No, I would agree, and I think the important thing, particularly on the wastewater side, there are so few users who use that system that it is really important for them to understand what those changes are, and that as an enterprise fund, that system should be paying for itself, and at this point, it is not, and hasn't been for years. And so I think that, to me, is one of the key things we want to make sure that people understand. And what does it mean to maintain a 100-year-old sewer system, wastewater treatment system?
Yeah. Any other
A
comments?
used plant.
With a used plant.
Yeah.
Well, I think this year we've seen 2 examples of what it takes to maintain a 100-year-old system, both with the wastewater line up to Main Street on 11th, coming up the alley. That one is, we have to look at a reroute of that, and the one that we just had tonight, the realignment of 3rd North, are 2 examples of this 100-year-old system that is facing some major issues. Yeah.
I would like to compliment staff on keeping the proposed rates so low. It's not onerous. So congratulations. I'm sure it was very hard.
And I would just say, having seen the presentation, I think that the slides in there that show what the increase is year over year is very helpful, and it takes a lot of the fear and apprehension out of it. It's like, when you go to the grocery store, every time I go, the prices keep going up, just, and the fact that we have not, or we've been able to sustain over these past years with a level rate, it's got to be expected that we need to do an increase in order to maintain the infrastructure that we have going forward. So, but I do think that slide is very helpful. That shows the year to year increase and what to expect it.
I think also, it's not just the year-to-year increase of what this increase is going to be. It's not just operation and maintenance. It's also a money for our capital improvement projects to take care of the big items within the next 5 year in our capital improvement plan. So that's important. And that it will go up a little bit every year instead of staying flat, and then having major problems in 5 years because we didn't budget for the capital. You know, we've done fairly well in operation and maintenance, but then when we get to the capital improvement projects, we have, you know, we're scrambling. And yes, we will look for grant funding wherever we can, and we're good at applying for grants. I got confidence in that. But if we can't get grants, we have to do loans, and loans mean an increase to pay back those loans. So it's, you know, we do everything to try to minimize these increases. But it looks to be from the rate study that this really is the best course to go forward.
I was gonna say, I think we've seen examples in other communities where there's been a huge debt taken on to achieve these things. And if we can avoid as much of that debt as possible, then that's great, because we're not borrowing money. We're not then charging people increases in rate just to pay off interest on a loan that we
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So if we can achieve some of that through this, I think that's really important.
I know we've got slides and, you know, we have a wonderful presentation. We're going to use all sorts of it. I'm interested in us doing shortly after the first of the year, an open house.
Yeah, very much.
Not a town hall or anything like it, an open house that is more casual, similar to what I think the Soils program has done. Where we can have different locations with different information, have it a little bit more casual. People can come and ask questions, and give answers to the best. What do you think about that?
I like it. Yeah, I like it.
I mean, I know people are going to be upset. This is going to be out on the paper, so we need to be able to answer their questions.
Well, and I do think if we can choose a date for that, the sooner the better. Because then people will know, they can come to one of us, they can come to the town, they can come to Virginia and ask questions. But if they want it, and they can get these, right? Because these are
They'll be
public.
on the website.
They'll be on the website, but to know that people will be able to come in and talk to, you know, the staff, talk to whoever the engineer, whatever those people who hopefully will be doing this work.
Virginia?
No, but they can see sort of down the road what it's gonna go through. So it's not just the rates and the increase in the rates and how we haven't increased rates in 6 years or whatever it is. It's about what does that translate into actually for us
me,
as a town? Right, and me as a resident, what does that mean for me? And to be able to look at what our capital improvement plan is and, you know, be able to put that out there, I think is really, it's important for people to see the translation of that rate increase into an actual thing,
Yeah,
you know, an
I know,
actual
I agree with
activity.
you on that.
Yeah, I would say that is our idea. I would just caution everyone that that would fall on the shoulders of staff, which is already stretched beyond a reasonable amount at this point. So we would just have to, I think, really contain it if we're gonna do it. It's really very untraditional to do something like that. I mean, when the grocery store raises their rates or any other utility raises their rate, they don't hold up. You know, you put a notice out, you handle it through a certain protocol. So, I mean, that's fine that we can communicate. I think there's lots of avenues of communicating. We've tried to do some of these outreaches and open houses before, and you get maybe a dozen people showing up out of a community of 4,500. You know, there are obviously other ways to get the information. So, you know, is it going to be worth the effort for what the return is going to be? So it's just something to contemplate.
Comments?
I think it is, but.
Yeah, I
I
think
do.
both sides make really good arguments, and I'm not sure.
You've got Public Works that would probably be the ones that would have to do that, and they're already working 24 hours a day.
This is a big step for us. I think And I hear what you're saying. I do, and I know how hard they're working, but this is a transparency issue. And the more transparent I think we are, and yes, I think we're going to get a lot more than 12 people come to this. And it does open us up to some challenges, because people are not happy to see their water and wastewater rates go up. We know that. But I think we have a story to tell of why. And yes, we can do it by putting it in all our different avenues who are doing social media and stuff, but somebody wants to be able to come and talk and ask that question. We need to be, I think if we can set a meeting and do it then, it'll be much easier than them trying to walk into your offices and trying to get that answer on a more casual, and it could be a question that everybody needs to hear the answer to. So I hear what you're saying, Deb, I do, but I think we need to pick one time and do at least this open house.
Well, and perhaps if we're gonna do it, let's challenge ourselves to get lots of people there.
Yeah.
If we're gonna put in the work, if we're gonna say this is important, then
Yeah.
it needs to be important and we need to get the community there.
I think so. I agree. I agree.
The
So
staff is happy to do that.
is staff's happy to do an open house? And any way we can help and assist on that, definitely. I think all of us will definitely help out with that. I know we can't answer the technical stuff, but we can talk, we can show the CIP. We've all been through it. We've seen it. We know at least in big picture what it's about. We know what this, we've seen it how many times this year. So it should be kind of within our capacity to do that. Yeah, I think the challenges are we have a population, some are retired on fixed incomes. This is not always easy, but it's not a huge, I agree, it's not a huge lift to go that, but it is an impact on other impacts that people have in their lives. So we have to recognize that. So I think it's worth us doing. It's our community, and I think we owe it to them on this. That's my feel.
I agree.
Any other ideas? I think you've got some ideas of the other avenues to use, but let's look at a day, I think early January, if we could. Because our meeting is going to be the 23rd, and I don't think we should do it during the holiday season. With that, I think we need to have a motion on the notice of intent, if there's no further questions.
Madam Mayor, I move that council approve the notice of intent to set water and wastewater rates for the town of Clarkdale.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember O'Neill and seconded by Councilmember Jones to approve the notice of intent to set water and wastewater rates for the town of Clarkdale. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you so much on that. Thank you for
Mayor.
the
Thank you, President.
discussion. Okay, we're down to item 8, which is future agenda items. Are there any items that council members would like to add to the agenda? Charity has put sort of our future agenda item schedule in front of us. We have a few things coming up for our December meeting. Remember, we don't have another meeting in November. So we'll go to, and we'll only have one meeting most likely in December unless there are items we have to take care of. But it looks like we just have a few items in December. So Anything else anybody would like to add? I think as we get the next year, as we, on our different entities that we have representation on, if we could have maybe a bigger presentation from some of them on sort of where they are, what are some of the big things that are happening in front of the council, like the young families one that you sit on, and even on NAMWA, if there's some things or some of the transportation stuff. If there's anything that we can do that's more than just our regular reports or talk about that, that would be great. I know we relook at our committees after the first of the year anyhow, so let's look at that. And even NACOG, I'm not sure everybody knows what NACOG is all about. The public, do we know what it's about? There's lots
Somebody
going on
the other
in
day who
NACOG.
didn't know that they ran Head Start,
Yeah,
and it's huge. you know?
that's huge, yeah, yeah. There are things we learn all the time.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing else, on future agenda items, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Hudstetter and seconded by Council Member Babbitt Pierce to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed, hearing none, we are adjourned at 7:01 PM. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.